You ever have those mornings where the coffee hits just right, but you're staring at a piece of walnut and realizing you have absolutely no idea where your favorite marking gauge went? That's where I'm at today. Happy Saturday, TigerDen family.
Tiger, if you lost that brass gauge again, I'm not helping you look. You probably left it in the freezer like last time.
It was a very hot July, Alex. The metal expanded. I was merely thermal adjusting it. Anyway, we've got a massive show today. We're talking about the 2026 tool lineup, a mechanic who became a millionaire by being lazy, and how to start a business today without selling a kidney to buy a CNC.
I'm actually really excited about the lazy mechanic story. It speaks to my soul. But first, let's talk gear. We're midway through 2026, and the big players, Milwaukee, DeWalt, Ryobi, they're all dropping their summer lineups. What's actually worth the shelf space this year?
Look, the marketing guys want to sell you smart features, but here's what's actually happening in the dirt. We're finally seeing battery platforms that don't feel like they're dragging an anchor. The ergonomics on the new Milwaukee stuff, it's like they actually sat down and talked to a guy who has to overhead drill for 6 hours.
You always say, buy the ecosystem, which sounds suspiciously like something a salesman says right before he takes your credit card. Why stay monogamous to one brand?
Because dragging 3 different chargers to a job site is a special kind of hell reserved for people who enjoy untangling Christmas lights. If your heavy-duty impact and your little handheld vacuum for the shop both take the same juice box, your life gets about 20% less grumpy.
Less grumpy is the TigerDen metric for success. But what about the high-tech stuff? Amazon is flooded with these laser-guided measuring tools that sync to your phone. Is that actually helpful, or is it just a way to lose your phone in the sawdust?
It's a double-edged sword. Using a laser measure that talks to an app is incredible when you're quoting a whole kitchen by yourself. You aren't fumbling with a notepad that's covered in grease. But, and this is a big but, I don't care if your laser is calibrated by NASA. If you can't read a physical steel rule with a splinter in your thumb, you aren't a craftsman. High carbon steel still wins for me when the real work starts.
Speaking of real work, let's shift to the trades. We saw this story about a mechanic who calls himself lazy. Tiger, I feel like you two would get along.
Oh, he's my spirit animal. This guy spent years doing the same repetitive knuckle-busting task in an auto shop. Instead of just complaining about it over a beer, he basically said, I am too tired to keep doing this the hard way. He fabricated a custom tool to skip 3 steps in a standard repair.
And now he's laughing all the way to the bank, right? It's a patented tool now.
Exactly. People think innovation comes from guys in suits sitting in a glass tower. It doesn't. It comes from the person whose back hurts at 4 p.m. If you find yourself thinking there has to be a better way to do this, you might just be looking at a business plan.
I love that. And it's not just the grumpy old veterans changing things. We're seeing a massive influx of women taking over the automotive aftermarket this year. They're focusing on tech integration and, get this, actually being transparent with customers.
What a concept, right? Actually telling the customer what's wrong without the mystery. That's a revolutionary business model in 2026.
Stop being cynical. It's working. It's making the whole industry more professional. Okay, let's talk to the maker moguls. If I'm sitting in my garage right now with a circular saw and a dream, but my bank account is looking a bit thin, how do I start?
You stop looking at $100,000 CNC machines on Instagram. Seriously, I see so many folks paralyzed because they think they need a shop that looks like a spaceship to make a dime. In 2026, the money isn't in competing with IKEA, it's in micro needs.
Define a micro need for the people in the back.
Sure, go to your local neighborhood Facebook group or walk down your main street. Who needs a very specific, weirdly sized shelf for their weirdly shaped pantry? Who needs a custom engraved sign for their new coffee shop? There are 41 trending small business ideas we've identified this year, like technical consulting or niche e-commerce, that require almost zero overhead.
So it's less about I am a woodworker and more about I am a problem solver who happens to use wood.
Nailed it. Spend 30 minutes today looking at your zip code. If there isn't a guy making high-end custom pet furniture or specializing in restoring old porch swings within 50 miles of you, that's your in. You don't need a factory, you need a niche.
I know what you're going to say for the weekend project. You're going to tell them to make a cutting board.
I am, and I won't apologize for it.
It's the hello world of woodworking. Isn't it a bit cliche by now?
It's only a cliche if you do it poorly. For a beginner, a high-end end grain cutting board is a PhD in the fundamentals. It teaches you grain orientation so your board doesn't explode like a panicked pufferfish when it gets wet. It teaches you glue-up pressure, which, by the way, most people overdo until they starve the joint. It's the perfect playground.
And for the people who have already made 20 cutting boards and are bored to tears,
Then you need to look at the two-tone trend. We just had a Patreon summit about this. Everyone is moving away from all white or all wood kitchens. The move right now is mixing textures. Think riffs on oak lower cabinets with a deep matte navy or forest green on top.
that sounds actually really expensive to pull off.
It looks expensive, but it's just a bold choice. It's about having the guts to paint perfectly good wood or blend different species. If you're nervous, we've got the live stream Q&A archives where I basically walk people through the "oh no, I ruined it" phase of painting cabinets.
Which you have plenty of experience with.
I once painted a set of cabinets in a color called Sunset Blush that turned out to be fluorescent salmon once the sun hit it. My client was not amused.
I remember that. You had to sand the whole kitchen twice.
My arms were vibrating for a week. That was my tuition for not doing a large-scale test patch.
All right, we've covered a lot. From the 2026 battery wars to the lazy mechanics millionaire shortcut. What's the one thing you want people to take into the shop this weekend?
Stop waiting for the perfect setup. I talk to so many makers who say they'll start their business when they get the bigger shop, or they'll build that table when they buy the better planer. The best tool you have is the one you're holding right now, even if it's a rusty hand-me-down from your uncle.
And maybe don't put your marking gauge in the freezer.
Definitely don't do that. Just get out there, make a mistake, learn why it happened, and keep your fingers away from the spinny bits.
Stay sharp, everyone. We'll see you in the shop.